Hello everyone, this is Gail from Gail's Upstairs Studio. I hope you're all doing well. Today I thought I would do an update of a video that I did quite a long time ago about the unsung hero or workhorses in my studio. The things that aren't necessarily pretty or expensive or exciting, but that I use all the time. And when I did that video, I had to actually pare it down in order to not have the video be very long. So I thought it might be time to do an update to show you some other things that are workhorses. Some of these things are actually newer to the studio anyway, and so I thought it would be time to go through a few more things that I find very useful in my studio. And a couple of these things are special and not necessarily not expensive, but the rest of them are. So let's get started. First things first is my Wanderings journal. I bought this from Amazon last year as a gift to myself for a couple of milestones I reached on this channel. Last spring, early summer, I reached over 100 videos posted and also 1,000 subscribers, and this was an investment I made in myself to help me have a creative space to be able to plan, brain dump all things about art and this channel. And there's a reason why I picked this to show you first. First of all, this is a journal section that I have in here, and I have a regular daily journal about my regular life, but this is for all things art and my YouTube channel. Like, this is when I was starting to get into mixed media and a mixed media journal, and these are some of the things I wanted to collect to use as fodder for that. I wanted to get back into daily sketching, and these some are the things that I wanted to sketch. Things of that nature. And then I have a planning section, and it isn't dated, it isn't for specific dates for the channel, but it's more of a place to gather information on what it is I want to do on my channel, some things I need to research, ideas for future videos. And this is why I'm showing this to you first, because this was a week that I was having a hard time figuring out what to do for a video. And so I went into my planning book, my planning section, and I have a section here for ideas for future videos. And I had on this page here, Studio Workhorse update. I'd already had thought of it and decided I wanted to do it, and I'd also already written a list of things that I wanted to share in the video. So it's proving itself because it actually worked. I was able to find a video I wanted to do and realize that I'd already done the legwork, so I didn't have to do a lot extra because I ran out of time, honestly, and I really don't like to skip a week. So I had written down a few things here, and as I was reading it the other day, I added a few things and checked couple of prices of things that I knew that I could find the prices of, stuff like that. So this is my first example of a studio workhorse, and I wanted to let you know that I did buy this on Amazon about a year ago, and as of the filming of this video, it is $42.95 for this large Wanderings notebook. And I bought it it came with 3 plain paper inserts, I believe it was, and then I ordered some extra dot inserts and lined inserts. So So there's workhorse number 1. And I am going to reopen it so I can keep myself on track. The second workhorse are these Ooly fountain pens. OOLY. I have never looked to see if I could find them anyplace else, but where I found these two was the Books A Million bookstore in a town close to the town I live in. And they seem to have this brand all the time. I've bought these at different times. This one and this one were both at different times. And it is just a really nice writer for a fountain pen. It writes easy. This is actually on watercolor paper, and it writes pretty smoothly and easily. It's light, and it's just a writer. It's not a calligraphy pen, so you don't have to worry about different pressures or anything. And I have one in black and one in blue, and it takes cartridges, and it's just a very easy to change the cartridges. It primes very easily, and as long as you lay them flat, they don't seem to clog much in between uses or anything. So this is definitely a workhorse, the Ooly fountain pen. And here is our next, I'm going to call it a rock star. I use this paper a lot for swatching, I've made sketchbooks out of it. Everyday use. I do a lot of practicing on this paper, and then I cut it up and make things out of it. So this is called the Bee Inspired Watercolor Artist Studio Pad, and it's by the Bee Paper Company. It's not 100% cotton or anything, but it is a 9x12 pad, and it's got 50 sheets. And it's 140 pound, 300 GSM. So except for not being 100% cotton, it's got all the other specifications that I like in a watercolor paper. And the best thing about it is its affordability. I buy mine at Walmart, and I can't remember exactly the price. I usually buy it in these 50 sheet pads, and I want to say it doesn't run any more than $15, and I bought them on sale before as well. So this, I find I use this at least 1 or 2 times a week. This next item is an example of something that isn't an art supply, but I use it as an art tool, I'm going to call it. It's a glass cutting board. I've had it for many years. I never used it in the kitchen, and I needed something to tape watercolor paper down to, and I'll give you an example of an instance that I might use this. In a recent video, I've been showing how I am going through the watercolor workshop book that I have, that I bought a while ago, and I am doing the exercises in it. And this is the Be Creative paper, in fact, that I just showed you. And I decided I didn't want to do it in a sketchbook. I wanted to do it on paper, on regular paper. And I use this cutting board for it. I tape all the edges so that the paper doesn't buckle, and then it stays taped right to it very nicely until the project is finished and dry, and then I just peel the tape off, and the tape comes off the glass very easily, and I use it a lot for that. I also paint on canvas paper a lot with acrylic, and I do the same thing. I tape it right down to this, and it's got a nice size to it. So right, here is our next group of items. First of all, I have 5 or 6 microfiber cloths that I keep in a drawer in my studio, and I use them every day. I have one on my workbench that I use to blot off watercolor brushes. I have one over by the sink. I have one just to help wipe down my surface that I film on. And I found that since I started using these, I use less paper towels, so it works great. And here's another very useful tool. These are artist round sponges. I buy them in like a package of 3, and I can't remember how much they are because they last me a long time, and it's been a while since I've purchased them, but I use them all the time. And how I get the most out of them is I cut them. I cut them this way and then this way so that I have 4 wedges. I use them for working in backgrounds in acrylic and also with gouache and things in my mixed media journal. This is one that I've used for ink, and I use them to clean off certain sections if I need to, and they rinse out and use over and over and over and over again. And I find them very useful. And another kind of sponge that I have on hand at all times is like the Mr. Clean Magic Erasers, but I buy the off-brand ones from like Walmart, and you can cut those up into small squares and use them very much the same way. And now we're getting into some receptacles. First of all, I wanted to show you this. This is a handmade inkwell that a very dear friend of mine gifted me last year, I think it was. I do a lot of straight nib pen work in lettering and things of that nature, and I needed an inkwell, and I was having a hard time finding a decent one. And she made me this darling one, and it holds just enough ink. I can go into an ink bottle with a dropper and then put it in here, and it's just enough to be perfect for dipping my pen in. And it is, I'm not sure what this part is, it's a cover to something. And then she filled it with hot glue and then nested a thimble down in it. And it is perfect. This is kind of a rubbery substance, so it stays down on the surface really good. The thimble doesn't tip over because it's nested right in there perfectly. And it's just a neat little example of using what you have and figuring it out. And she's excellent at that. So I was very tickled to have this. And this was another gift from this same friend. She found this when she was shopping and thought I might be able to use them. They are little mixing dishes is what I use them for. And I have all kinds. And it's really good when I'm working on a big project or on a series of different things. And I'm using big brushes and watercolor. These are great for that. And if I have any left over and I'm not quite done, I just let it all dry, and then I tip it upside down on my surface so that dust can't get into it. And I absolutely love these. Use them a lot. This next one is another little special thing that I bought myself a while ago. I don't have the price on it, but this is just a little paint palette. And I dry down my watercolor from the tube. I don't generally squeeze right from the tube and use it immediately. I usually dry it down. So I don't use this for that. What I use it for is when I am working on a project. And another reason to bring up the video from a little bit ago when I was doing the watercolor workshop exercises, I used this for that. I would go into the paint I was using with a watery brush and just transfer it over to here. And I really liked it because it's got big wells and smaller wells. So I could have my colors that I was using most in the big wells, and I could use the small ones around it to be able to mix some of those colors and have it be very harmonious. So I absolutely love this, and it's beautiful empty. It's beautiful filled up and messy. It's just a very nice little treasure. And this one is as much of a treasure and very much not as pretty, but I use it constantly and it works perfectly for what I need it for. I have found myself using it even more recently because I have made myself my master watercolor palette. And I used to find it most useful when I was doing color charts or swatching, because when you're doing color charts specifically or color mixing charts, you need to put a lot of different daubs of paint in order to mix with, and this came in very handy for that. But now I have found another wonderful use for it. I have my master watercolor palette here, and when I pick a color story, I bring those half pans right out of the master palette, and they all have magnets on the back. So if I have 4 or 5 colors that I'm doing a painting with, I can bring out the half pans, because they're magnetized and this is metal. I can plop them right down, right in a row, and then I have all of this mixing area in order to mix them together or make lighter pools and more pigmented pools. And there are bigger sizes of these, and you can find them in art supply stores and hardware stores and places like that. I believe I bought mine in a locally owned art supply store. I've had it for years. And then there are bigger versions of this, but this is just the perfect size for me. It's big enough to have plenty of room to mix in, but it's small enough that I don't have to find room for it on my bench. And next I have a T-square. I bought this at Michael's. Once again, I'm very sorry, can't remember how much it cost. It's not exorbitantly expensive. It's a 12-inch ruler with a T-square on the top, and it's going to be hard to show on camera, but there's a little lip here that makes it very nice to be able to lay it flat on your surface, and it will catch on the top of your paper, and then you can do grid lines. And this has come in very handy while doing these exercises as well, because you start with doing a grid. And I bought this specifically for grid work in my sketchbook, but it works very well for this. Okay, now I have another cutting board to show you. It's a different kind of cutting board, and it has a different purpose. I bought this at Dollar Tree for $1.25, and it is textured. And if you are a fan of the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s, and you watch any amount of art YouTube channels, you will know that Caran d'Ache sells something similar to this to be able to use this in one of the techniques. And I decided to try this just from the Dollar Tree, and I find that it works wonderfully. Now, if you're familiar with Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s, you will know that they are very popular, first of all, and they are known for their water solubility. So I could come in and do a flower, the petals of a flower. This is just a quick little example, and then get some water on my brush and come in and activate the crayon. And this isn't the best example because I just did it quickly, but I'm just going to scribble it so that you can see that it's water soluble. So that is one way to use the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s. And I'm gonna scribble this one more time here, and let's see, I'm gonna take a dark blue and scribble it just to show you the difference in the two colors when they are activated here. So there's my purple, and here is my blue. Now, if I wanted to mix them, I could mix them this way, right on the page. But if you didn't want to do that, and you wanted to be able to mix them and have a completely different color, you can take your purple and scribble it on this textured cutting board. And then take the blue and mix and scribble that down. Then you can take your brush and mix them together. Now, I want that to be a little more purple. So I'm going to do some more scribbling. And pick it up. And then you essentially have some paint. Oh, I like that color. And then if I want to make it lighter, I can just go in and it will dilute down just like watercolor. And I really like the idea of being able to mix on a board and then add it to a painting, but I honestly just never got around to ordering. It wasn't the price of it, it was just I never got around to ordering the Caran d'Ache palette that is made specifically for this. So I just thought I would try this, and it works wonderful. I don't know if it works exactly the same because I've never used the Caran d'Ache palette, but I use it all the time, and it wipes off wonderfully. I don't want to waste this pigment. I'm going to use it in something, but it does. I will take a little bit of it just to show you. It wipes off wonderfully, and it scrubs. You can get it completely. I haven't had any trouble getting it completely clean after use. And finally, I have my tabletop drawing easel by Blick Art Materials. I've had this for over a year, and I use it all the time. It's been in several of my videos. I use it to paint acrylics and some watercolors, and it's really great for lettering also. It's portable. It has a handle on the side. I've taken it to craft shows before, and I can just carry it in with everything else. It's great. It's very adjustable, has different heights. And at the time that I bought this, it was on sale for, I think it was like $40 or $45. And as the time of filming this, it is up to over $60. But honestly, I probably would buy it for that. It's come in very handy. Well, that is all I have for today's video. I will leave the original video about my workhorses of the studio in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.